Just had a heated argument with my mom. The question of kids came up, and I tried to relay the difficulties of having them. But she wouldn't have it. I'm a software engineer, and my salary is decent. But with the economic climate it's still not feasible. She continues to tell me that her generation was the hardest working one. Boomer. And that I just need to work harder. More hours. Can anyone give me some solid sources that show it was better for them versus us? Any help is greatly appreciated. Edit. I didn't expect this post to get this much interaction. Thank you all for your opinions and advice. I realize that I could have just searched for these sources myself. But as some of you well know, nothing hits harder than another person expressing the same opinion. I guess what I really needed was a little validation that I wasn't wrong, alone in feeling this way. I hope you all have a great night and a happy new year. Edit 2. Also, this post will be my #1 source. Thanks again. Edit 3. I acknowledge that this post would be better suited for our child-free. I didn't know that sub existed. Tell her to adopt some infants if she wants children in her life. The cost of a house in your area then versus now? The cost of a weekly shop then versus now? Heal. Just show her an episode of The Simpsons. Remind her that one working parent could buy a house and cars while the other could stay at home and look after the kids. Now not so much. Economic issues aside, you don't owe anyone an explanation of why you choose to have or not have children. Even your mother. As a software engineer, aren't you salary? Working more hours literally makes your value per hour go down. But you can expect people with that mindset to do simple math. Ask her to research a budget for you. Had similar problems with an out-of-touch relative, telling us how we were paying too much for food and housing even though she hadn't done any of that. For 20+ years. She wound up moving and having to handle all her own expenses, and while we never got an apology, the comments stopped so suddenly. What's funny is that they say that, but then the moment you start working 60+ hours a week they go, "How come you never visit anymore?" I suppose you could make time for that, but then you'll have to let go of your chores, and if they ever see your house, they'll ask you why it's so unkempt. Maybe you should juggle your responsibilities, work and social visits, and just neglect your sleep until you drive your car into a ditch one day. When you fall asleep at the wheel, it feels like you can't ever win. Now imagine doing all that and adding the responsibility of kids into the mix, lol. So who's supposed to be watching the baby while you're working 90-hour work weeks to survive? Garbage logic. You're salaried. Just point out that working harder and more hours doesn't get you any more dollar. Cost of housing now versus then after being adjusted for inflation usually done the trick. Or her salary from the time adjusted for inflation. Or minimum wage. Or cost of education. Basically adjust anything from back for inflation and you show that we get paid significantly less for the same work that they did. Edit. Also, bodily autonomy is kinda a thing. She has no right to make you do anything you don't want to with your body. And the idea that a lady must have kids is significantly outdated in this day and age. Also, looking at the state of the world, it would be more than a little irresponsible to bring a child into it. And furthermore, a child who is born just to fulfill familial obligations is not going to receive enough love and support growing up, especially if that parent is constantly working overtime to make ends meet, as your mom has suggested you do. I saved this from another Redditor. You, ultra lame. Not trying to take credit for their work. Just wanted to share it with you. It was from a post that was more about the expense of college education. But it also includes cost differences for buying a house. which might be useful to you. Sometimes having numbers and cold data helps. And when it doesn't, then you know that person is not rational and arguing with them is a waste of your time. 1969. Median income $9,500. Median home price $25,000. Ratio 2.5:1. 2022. Median salary $45,000. Median home price $370,000. Ratio 8:1 in constant inflation-adjusted dollars. The median cost of a year of college room and board, books, tuition in 1969 is $10,000 in 2022 dollars. That was the entire cost of being at college for a year after inflation, roughly equal to 17% of annual salary. In 2022, the median cost is $35,000, or almost 80% of annual salary. Maybe find an inflation calculator and show her the year that she was your age versus now. Get a vasectomy, that will show her. Tell her to watch Idiocracy. Tell her it's a documentary on the soon-to-be reality around us. That's no place to bring any child into. https://www.consumeraffairs.com/financed/comparingthecostsoffgenerations.html. Assuming she's analytically minded, that should be sufficient. My money isn't on that being the case though, given she apparently is comfortable acting on her assumptions and hasn't done any comparative analysis in the past 60 years. Reminder her about the greatest generation. Boomers are garbage in comparison. The fact they got interest, by law, on their savings accounts is a big factor. Unfortunate some parents can't just let their children experience life at whatever pace feels right. From my perspective, I would consider it selfish on her behalf and would not entertain conversations like that. She should love and respect you the same whether it's children tomorrow, 5 years, or never. You don't have to persuade your mom or anyone else that you have a good reason not to have kids. Even if conditions were absolutely perfect, which they obviously are, note it's your decision, not hers. If she wants grandkids now, she could just ask your dad to knock her up again and give you a younger sibling. Write a budget. Rent, mortgage, car insurance, gas, food, utilities. Shouldn't take but a few minutes and she can put it in her boomer hands and study it. Then add in a child, daycare costs, food, and insurance. You'll find you might be able to do it, but that would leave zero funds for emergencies or if anything big breaks. Don't settle for the, oh you don't need to go out, gimme a grandchild. She is having her grandmother moments.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.